Marauders for the Month by lishiee. Chapter 8 Girls' Night and Morning. The lesson in astronomy had been simple, so Lily and Pandora had spent their time doing other homework. Doing work in Pandora's presence was very calming. Anytime Lily felt the least bit stressed, she glanced over at the other girl and it immediately felt like her stress was melting away. The entirety of astronomy was the most at peace Lily had felt in a while. When class was over, the two girls walked out of the classroom and were met with the sight of Mary and Marlene leaning against a wall. The two of them grinned and rushed over to Lily and Pandora. Pandora scooched over to stand side by side with Mary and Marlene. In unison, all three girls pulled a piece of parchment out of their bags and held them out to Lily. She noticed the confusion was showing on her face as she grabbed the papers and skimmed them over. Oh my god. It was all of the work for her classes. Well, the classes each girl was in with her. Marlene did her data work, Mary did her potions, and Pandora did her astronomy. Lily felt like she was going to cry. The thought of the work she had to do tonight had been stressing her out practically all day, except during her pocket of peace in astronomy. So seeing most of it done made her overwhelmed. All she had to do was arithmancy and alchemy, which she could do Sunday morning pretty easily. Lily smiled and pulled all three girls into a hug. She had no idea when they planned this, but Merlin she was happy they did. The four girls group hugged in the middle of the hallway for a minute before pulling apart. Lily had to wipe away a stray tear. "Since your homework is done for tonight," Mary glanced between the two girls beside her before looking back at Lily. "We can all hang out tonight." "We can all hang out tonight," she trolled. Marlene nodded her head vigorously. "Well, I can't tonight. I promised to do something with Reg. I can tomorrow before the Quidditch game though," Pandora remarked, swaying back and forth on her heels. Mary nodded her head and Marlene hummed. Pandora waved goodbye to Lily and skipped off towards the dungeons. Mary, Marlene and Lily all linked arms and were on their way to the dorms. Mary and Marlene gossiped the whole way there, catching Lily up since she had spent the past week studying and only studying. Once in the dorm, they all jumped onto Lily's bed, falling into a giggling heap. "Wait," Lily shut up. "We have to get dinner." Marlene giggled harder, bringing her arm up to push Lily back onto the bed. "James is bringing us food from the kitchens. He owes me," Marlene grinned. Lily nodded her head and then laid back down, getting comfortable. A bit too comfortable. Before she knew it, her eyelids were getting heavy and she slowly drifted off to sleep. Lily woke up to someone rapidly knocking on the door. She felt extremely drowsy, having no idea how long she was asleep. Looking around, it looked like the other two girls had fallen asleep too. All three of them were not known to get the best sleep. Lily glanced at the alarm clock before pulling herself up and getting out of bed, climbing over Marlene's sprawled out limbs. There was another loud knock. Who the fuck was knocking so loud? Lily opened the door to an amusing sight. The four boys were standing outside with heaps upon heaps of food piled into their arms. Peter looked to be struggling the worst, a few things starting to drop from his arms. Lily opened the door wide and scooched out of the way, allowing them to come in and drop the food on the floor. Mary and Marlene started to stir as the boys pulled a blanket off one of the beds and piled the food onto it. Remus was the one to somewhat sort the food out, grouping together some of the foods and making it look a bit more appealing. "Alright," James sighed, rubbing his hands together and standing up. "No more favours, Marlene. This was the last one." He gave her a pointed glance and walked towards the door. "Have fun, girls." Sirius called out, shoving the other boys out and closing the door. Lily looked at Mary and Marlene, then rushed over to the food. The boys had definitely pulled through. There was enough food for all three of them to eat 3 meals, and they did just that. Lily stuffed her face with just about anything, seeing as she was skipping meals more often. "I feel like the food is even better when we're eating it in here," Marlene moaned, taking a bite out of one of the chicken wings. Mary hummed in agreement, taking a chunk off a piece of corn. "What did you do to make James owe you a favour?" Lily asked, watching Marlene continue to tear apart the chicken wing after chicken wing. "I paid Peter a few signals to turn off James's alarm. One morning, we had really early Quidditch practice. When James got to practice 20 minutes or so late, I acted like he was such an inconvenience, and how could he do such a thing to me? Got him to promise me a few favours. Mary started to cackle. The girl fell backward, holding the piece of corn high above her head. Marlene and Peter were known to mess with James from time to time. Peter was sometimes a bit more reluctant, so Marlene had a stash of sickles and galleons when needed to persuade him. The best part was that James was always able to get Marlene practically anything she asked for when she got favours out of him. It always benefited Mary and Marlene as well, so they did nothing to stop it. Lily had a suspicion the other boys know too, but say nothing because it's amusing for everyone involved, except James, of course. "What other favours did he do for you?" Mary asked, pounding her chest to stop the corn from lodging in her throat. "He did my data homework, got me a new stash of sweets, and let me use the prefix bathroom." Marlene counted off on her fingers. "You got 4 favours out of him because he was late to Quidditch practice?" Lily giggled. "What can I say? I'm very persuasive," Marlene smirked. The rest of their night was filled with them finishing up the food the boys brought, and just talking. Lily hadn't had a night of just talking with Mary and Marlene since maybe 6th year. Mary told them all about her date with the boy she had had a few days ago. Marlene seemed to know all about it and was even telling parts of it for Mary. Marlene told them about a Slytherin girl she was talking to. Marlene wouldn't say names, but Lily had a feeling. The girl ended up falling asleep on the floor, tangled up in the blanket. Lily whispered good night to the ceiling and dozed off, cuddled up between Mary and Marlene. A knock was the same thing to wake Lily up in the morning. This time, however, it was a softer knock. Lily rolled around on the ground, going to flop onto Marlene, only to find an empty spot where she had been. Mary was still fast asleep on her other side, drool dripping from her lip. It was officially the weekend, meaning Lily was not going to wake her up. Lily pushed herself up and shuffled over to the door, pulling it open. She wasn't entirely sure who she was expecting, but it wasn't Pandora, dressed in crimson and gold. The girl smiled and twirled in a circle when she saw Lily. "Do you like my outfit?" Pandora beamed. Lily's mouth was a desert, and she was pretty sure it wasn't because she had just woken up. The blue and silver always looked good on Pandora, but the crimson and gold looked even better. For fear of stuttering, Lily only nodded her head and moved out of the way to let her in. Pandora skipped in, took one look at Mary crumpled up on the floor, and giggled. Yawning, Lily shut the door and pushed her hair down. "Would you mind waking her? I bet she'll be a bit nicer to you," Lily asked, attempting to spare herself from having to wake Mary. Pandora looked down at Mary for a second and then nodded. Pandora crouched down next to Mary and slightly shook her shoulder. Mary groaned and switched sides. Pandora stifled a giggle and shook her again. "If you don't leave me alone, Lily, I swear I'll—" Mary opened her eyes and they went wide. "Oh, hey Pandora! Sorry about that. Thought you were Lily." Mary pushed herself up onto her elbows and wiped the drool off her face. Pandora sat back on her legs and smiled at her. Mary ruffled her hair a bit and then glanced at Pandora's outfit. "Nice colours," Mary beamed at her. "Could use some makeup though. Don't worry, I got that under control." The girl hopped up, grabbed her outfit that was already picked out, and rushed into the bathroom. Lily was now getting a good look at Pandora's outfit. She was wearing a jumper that suspiciously looked like it belonged to James or Sirius. Lily couldn't really tell. The boys swapped clothes like crazy. She could never tell what belonged to who. She was wearing a skirt that ended right above her knees and knee-high crimson and gold socks. "Where'd you get the jumper?" Lily asked, while walking over to her dresser to grab her clothes. Pandora glanced down at the jumper and smoothed it out. "Found it in Reggie's dorm, in his trunk. Don't tell him I took it." Must mean the jumper was Sirius's. Sirius and Regulus were on okay-ish terms at the moment. Lily swears she saw Regulus over at the boys' dorm the other day, so that must have been when Regulus got the jumper. Lily pulled on her own jumper and a pair of trousers. It got pretty cold in the stands watching Quidditch so high up, so Lily always wore pants, unlike Mary and many of the other girls. Lily could not stand her legs being cold, even if the skirt would look better with the jumper. Just as she was pulling on her socks, Mary walked out of the bathroom. The girl was wearing a matching jumper to Lily's and a somewhat short skirt. Mary had told Lily she likes to let her legs breathe. The girl was also wearing knee-high socks like Pandora. "Want some gold eyeliner, Pandora?" Mary questioned, fiddling the tube between her fingers. Pandora nodded her head and sat down on Lily's bed. "Lily, could you do it?" "I have to do my own." A smirk was tugging at the corner of Mary's lips. "Traitor? Bastard? How could she? She's the one who suggested makeup." "Of course," Lily smiled. Lily caught the eyeliner in her hands and sat beside Pandora. Lily opened the bottle and pulled the wand out. She used her wrist to slightly tilt Pandora's face toward her. Now they were staring at each other. Lily was not sure how she was going to keep a steady hand. She gulped quite lightly. "Close your eyes," Lily said gently, lifting the wand up to Pandora's eyes. The girl closed her eyes, and Lily leaned forward to start applying the eyeliner. She followed along her eyelid and then created swirls at the end instead of a wing. Lily had practically perfected doing eyeliner on other people. Mary made her do it at least once a week. Once both swirls were done, Lily added a little to the inner corners of her eyes. Pandora must be psychic, because as soon as Lily had done the last swipe, she opened her eyes. Lily's breath hitched. She hadn't realized how close she'd gotten until just now. Lily pulled back and smiled sheepishly at the girl. She leaned over and grabbed the handheld mirror sitting on her nightstand. Pandora took the mirror and held it closely up to her face. She lightly traced over the swirls without actually touching them. "This is amazing, Lily," Pandora praised, continuing to admire Lily's work. Mary walked out of the bathroom, mascara wand in hand. "Looks good, Lils. Suits her well, don't you think?" Mary smiled. Lily could feel a blush working its way up from her neck. She hadn't blushed in months. Maybe not even since her boyfriend she had in 5th year. Fucking Mary, scheming traitor. Lily needed space. She could not sit by Pandora at this game. Blushing was unnecessary, especially at random fucking moments like this. Thank God Pandora was in Ravenclaw, because then she wouldn't be sitting by them at this game. Thanks for listening. Oh, I panicked for a second. I checked the timer. I thought I didn't record it all. Oh, okay, that would have sucked. Anyway, thanks for listening.